podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Hello, folks. This is Kim Brown, a.k.a. Platinum Rose Lady, welcoming you to another week here of Ring Around the Rosie. Today is the 7th of February, 2018. Boy. I hope everybody's had a good week so far. My week's been okay. It's been a little bananas up here today, weather-wise. We have a saying here in New England, if you don't like the weather, wait 2 minutes, it'll change. And today was a real big, fat example of that. It was fine when we got to work. By about 11, 12, in the afternoon, it's snowing so hard you can't see across the street. And then when we left, it's not snowing anymore, it's raining, and now it's supposed to be in the 20s tonight, so all the water's going to freeze. Yay! So that'll be fun for the morning commute. Haha. Woohoo! I would never trade living in Massachusetts. I love Massachusetts. I love New England, so I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy to be on the air with you guys again. Obviously, we can't do a show without talking about the 8,000-pound gorilla in the room. The fact that the Super Bowl was this past Sunday, which I actually amazingly watched most of. I will attest to finally being like, that's it, fuck it, I'm leaving. I just couldn't take it anymore, because, confession time, I don't know anything about football. What I don't know about football could fill a very large book. So after sitting there for most of the game going, is that legal? Why did they do that? Are you allowed to hit people? And my poor fellow, who is also not an enormous football fan, but he knows more than I do. He was being incredibly patient with me, because I was just asking question after question, because I don't know what the fuck is going on, So, I did know that we weren't going to win, and we didn't. So, the Patriots fell in defeat to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I have a life philosophy, and my philosophy is that you are gracious in victory, and you are just as gracious in defeat. So, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles for their win at the Super Bowl. It's really weird, though, when you watch the news the next day and you see, there were all these riots in Philadelphia and people flipping over cars and burning shit and starting fires and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys won. What are you doing? I don't get it. I mean, we had some people in Massachusetts doing the same thing because we lost, people getting all pissed off and just basically acting like ass clowns. But I don't understand why you burn your city because you won. I don't get it. I really don't. I know it's Philadelphia and you know what? I'm not going to take that any further. I'm just going to leave it right there. Football story, though. I do have kind of a funny football story. When I was in high school, I'm sure you guys all remember when you were in high school. For some of you, you might still be in high school. And you'd have somebody come to your school that was like, an athlete or someone who was like semi-big in the local politics, and they would talk to you about, don't drink and drive or don't do drugs or blah, blah, blah. That kind of crap. And we had this speaker when I was in high school, and this young man came to our high school. He was a football player, and he was very nice, very well-spoken guy, told a compelling story about a friend that had been killed in a drunk driving accident, and he just seemed like a very amiable, friendly dude. So we're all sitting, through this assembly, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, we know all this, and after it's over, we're standing outside and we're waiting to go back to class and stuff, and he's down talking with people and, signing autographs and chatting with them and stuff like that. Really friendly guy. And my friends are all like, oh, should we go say something to him? Should we go get his autograph and all this stuff like that? And of course, me in high school, me in high school was I was not a happy person in high school. I was basically a walking ball of angst, daddy issues, self-loathing, and hair. And my attitude was, fuck it, he's just some stupid football player. Fuck it, let's go. And so we just went, and I didn't think anything more of it. Shoot forward a little bit, and I happened to be at my grandmother's place, and where the football game was on, because people in my mother's side of the family actually watched football somewhat, or still do, I should say. And this football game was on, and they were, talking about the players and all that, and this guy's name got brought up, and I went, oh, I know that name. That guy's been to my school. And he made this amazing pass during the game, and, all of a sudden this guy was this big star. It turned out it was Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie came to my school, and I know that name might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but it means something to, football people, and, it was pretty cool. It was a cool thing. Now that I look back on it, I'm like, damn, because he really just seemed like a really decent dude, he seemed like a really cool guy, but it was just one of those funny things. Obviously, football and wrestling have a lot of, it's really weird. Football and wrestling have a lot of interactions and a lot of, cross-pollination, for lack of a better word. A lot of people that, played football, either in college or professionally, went on to become professional wrestlers. People like Dusty Rhodes, who actually did play for the Patriots at one point, which I think is hilarious. Somebody like Ron Simmons or Dwayne Johnson, Roman Reigns, Steve McMichael, who I think more people knew as being a commentator than, wrestling, although he did wrestle and he was part of the Four Horsemen at one point. Whatever. The one thing I remember about Steve McMichael, of course, I think the one thing everybody remembers about Steve McMichael was him being on, commentating on Nitro and not being especially good at it. I mean, he was enthusiastic, so yay for enthusiasm. And how he was out there with his rat dog. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? Oh gosh. His dog, Pepe, little Mexican hairless dog. I don't actually know if it was a Mexican hairless or a Chihuahua. I don't know. It was a well-behaved dog, though. I mean, all things considered. Usually those little dogs get real hyper and, they will bite. I mean, most dogs will bite if you, don't hold them the right way or something. But he was always very gentle with him, so I thought that was actually pretty cool. You had this big guy and this little teeny dog. I liked the play off on that. I thought that was kind of cool. And obviously we had other people involved with football getting involved with wrestling in angles and storylines and things like that. One of the biggest examples being the whole Lawrence Taylor Bam Bam Bigelow match that was at WrestleMania one year, which I gotta be honest, the lead up to that really freaked me out, because the whole lead off, if you remember back that far, that Lawrence Taylor's at ringside and he's watching a match and everything's cool and everything's fine, and Bam Bam Bigelow comes out and gets all in his face, and the LT was just kind of like, back off, man, it's cool, and Bigelow turned away and then turned around and shoved him, and shoved him hard. And the whole thing had a very real feel to it. It felt like, oh, fuck, that shouldn't have happened. It didn't feel like it was part of the show. At least not to me. I was like, okay, yay for the excitement of that, except for the fact that I'm not entirely sure that was supposed to have happened. But whatever. It obviously turned out to be a pretty, as far as, celebrities involved in wrestling, if someone's an athlete, and that's one thing. I mean, sometimes they have people involved in wrestling and they're fans, and you're like, okay, well, they're a fan, I'm a fan, we should all be like happy that a fan gets involved and stuff like that. But, when it's an athlete, especially a football player, because, they're big and muscular and fast, usually, it makes it a little bit better, I think, usually. Like I said, there's a lot of people that have gone, made the transition from football player to professional wrestler, which is cool. Everybody's gonna have something to, it's weird when you have somebody that is a football player now that's involved with wrestling. Like TNA's done that over and over again. And I'm always kind of like, I'm really surprised they let you do that. The whole thing with Rob Gronkowski where he, messed up one of Jinder Mahal's matches. That was pretty cool. I like Gronk. Gronk's one of my favorite Patriot guys because I just think that he's cool. He just strikes me as just an easygoing dude and just seems like a really cool person. Get well wishes. Want to send out some get well wishes to Jason Jordan, who was announced a little bit earlier in the week that they played off this angle on Raw that he was hurt and couldn't wrestle and all this stuff like that. It turns out he has a very severe neck injury and he had surgery. So, that's not something you fuck around with. Neck injuries are not something you screw with. That's you can wind up, paralyzed for life, and that's obviously not a good thing. Jason's still a young man and definitely wish him all the best and good vibes and recover soon and, hope things go well for you, Jason. Okay, so let's get to the the results so far of the shows that were on this week. So we have WWE Raw on the 5th of February, coming from Des Moines, Iowa, which I've never been to, but I'm sure it's a lovely place. We begin the show with Bray Wyatt talking. Oh, joy. Bray doing his whole usual, thing that he does, talking about Roman Reigns and how he's a failure and this, that, and the other thing, and, vortex of despair, blah, blah, blah. Just the usual typical, Bray Wyatt, okay, you're evil, we get it, thing that he does, and we get a match with Bray versus Roman Reigns at the beginning of the show, and I was like, we're gonna start here. Okay. Okay. As it turned out, the match is an Elimination Chamber qualifying match, which I'm sorry, there's irony here, and I'm just, the whole idea is that, you qualify to be in the Elimination Chamber, which looks like a spectacular way to hurt yourself, and then if you win the Elimination Chamber, you get to go on and fight Brock Lesnar. Which seems like another way to really, 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 really fuck yourself up. Because it's Brock Lesnar and he's kind of scary. I mean, to be perfectly honest. Not much on the mic, but he can kick, he can kick somebody's ass. The match ends with Roman Reigns getting the victory. During the match, we see broken Matt Hardy or woken Matt Hardy or whatever the fuck he's calling himself this week, in the back watching on a monitor. After the match, Matt makes his way from I'm not sure how he got down there and didn't get seen, but he made it from behind and attacked, Bray Wyatt from behind. So apparently that feud's not going away anytime soon. We had a segment with Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan talking about how they are getting a rematch tonight for their tag team championship belts that they lost against the Bar, and how this is their last chance. This is their last shot. No more shots after this, so they have to make it count. Next we get a match with, it seems like it was supposed to be Finn Balor and one of the members of the Revival, Finn Balor, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows came out first, and then the Revival came out and ran their mouths off again. It's like, let me check. No, still don't give a fuck. Not sure when that fuck's gonna arrive, but it hasn't arrived yet, sorry. They shoot off their mouths about why don't we make this a tag team match, and that seems like a great idea to the Balor Club because it just means the two of them can beat up on you guys. And so it turns out to be the team of Finn Balor and Carl Anderson. Yum. Who are going against the Revival, and they wind up winning. Finn Balor and Carl Anderson. Surprise. We have what happened next? We have the match with the guys from 205 Live. Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali going up against Drew Gulak and Tony Nese. Oh wow, this was crazy. This match was completely out there. There's guys flying everywhere. So awesome, so amazing, really great stuff. And the winners of that turned out to be Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali. The general manager of Raw, Kurt Angle, announces the competitors for the women's Elimination Chamber match, which is going to take place at the next pay-per-view. And those women would be Bayley, Mandy Rose, Sasha Banks, Mickie James, Sonya Deville, and Alexa Bliss, who is the champion. Nia Jax it is announced that she will be facing Asuka at the Elimination Chamber, and if she wins, then she's going to go on to WrestleMania, and it'll be a three-way dance. They did a segment that I was kind of like, they actually have a really good point. Alexa Bliss came out to the ring and started her usual kind of bitching and whining and complaining at Kurt Angle, which usually I'm just like, oh, well, your needs. But she actually brought up some really good points. And, talking about sexism and, I know they're riding on the coattails of the whole Me Too thing, and I know some people might be really pissed off about that. But when you consider the fact that women are still paid less than men in the workforce, and women are still treated with less respect in the workforce, maybe somebody talking about this in wrestling isn't a bad idea. Because Alexa's bringing up how she has to defend her title at Elimination Chamber, and Brock Lesnar does not. And he's not in the Elimination Chamber match, which, I'm sitting there going, she has a point. I don't like her. I'd love to slap her in the face because she just fucking irritates me as a character. I'm sure she's a lovely human being. But, she does have a point. And I think she would have actually made the point if she hadn't started calling the crowd sheep, but, we get a video from John Cena talking about what he's going to be doing and, reach for the, dream and all that stuff like that he's always talking about, hustle, loyalty, respect, blah, blah. We had a segment about the WWE celebrating Black History Month, which is obviously a very important thing. Going to like the civil rights museums and things like that and seeing what people went through, to try and get basic human rights for people in a country that calls itself the land of the free and the home of the brave, and that's just blows my mind. It's you see stuff like that and you're like, why are we the most evolved species on the planet? I keep forgetting, but enough about me and my earthy, crunchy, hippie granola views. We had a match with Asuka going against Bayley. Asuka won that by submission. Really good match with a handshake at the end. I was like, that's nice. That's, you like to see that. There's no reason people have to go. And then, you have matches where you have people that really have an actual feud storyline going. But not everybody has to go out there and act like they're going to kill the other person. I like the fact that there was the handshake and the show of respect between Asuka and Bayley. I like that a lot. And I'm not just saying that because Asuka scares the living piss out of me, although that might be part of it. If I'm being perfectly honest. Good match, though. We have a video from the Bar talking about how awesome they are, blah, blah, blah. blah, blah. Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. Oh, I just threw up in my mouth. That is so difficult to say. Involved in a match with Apollo Crews to determine who is next in the Elimination Chamber, and the winner of that match was The Miz. Seth Rollins finds out to his very obvious disgust that Jason Jordan is not being medically cleared to fight tonight. He's been told that he can't fight. Doctor says that he can't. And Seth is apparently going to be without a partner and have to forfeit until it turns out, no, actually he's not, because he's got someone there who's going to be his partner, Roman Reigns. Isn't that ironic, don't you think? Personally, I was sitting there clapping and applauding and squeeing my head off, but that's just me. We next had a match. The next match up was for the Raw Tag Team Championship, with Cesaro and Sheamus, the champions, going against Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns looking awesome, as always, just looking really, I won't use that word, nope. I know this is a not safe for work show, but you guys don't need to see that deep into my psyche. Let's just leave it at I'm a woman and I have needs, don't judge me. Unfortunately, the match did not go the way that Rollins and Reigns wanted it to, in the fact that Jason Jordan decided to come out and be helpful. I guess that's kind of where he was going with that, if you hear him tell it. Unfortunately, his actions wound up getting Seth and Roman disqualified. So, thanks a lot, Jason. Great job, buddy. We got a video of Braun Strowman being all big and scary. In the back, if Seth wasn't happy with Jason Jordan before, we are at a whole new level of not happy. I mean, he practically had fire shooting out of his nose. Kurt Angle decides that Jason needs to go home. So Jason has to leave. I mean, basically it's like, Daddy's saying you gotta go, you gotta go. We had a match with Nia Jax against a young woman named Vanessa Floyd, who I've never seen of, never heard of, and I felt terribly badly that she was out there getting completely mangled by Nia, although she did a great job of being mangled. Nia won that match to the surprise of absolutely nobody. Next after that was a match with Mickie James versus Sonya Deville, and Mickie was the winner in that. We got a performance from Elias. Joy. I don't know about anybody else, but I would rather walk into a snake pit wearing a necklace made of live mice than walk with Elias. Just saying. We had Elias going against John Cena and Braun Strowman. The three of them, who are going to be in the Elimination Chamber match already, are now fighting to see who is going to get the coveted 6th spot in the Elimination Chamber. So they'll be the last person to be put in the match. And this match was won by Elias, and I have to be honest, I was like, okay, alright, that kind of blew my mind a little bit, but it was, all in all, I'd say a pretty good Raw, moved the storylines along well, and I think that was obviously a good thing. That takes us to the next evening of WWE SmackDown, which is coming to us from Kansas City, Missouri, another place I've never been, but I'm sure it's fantastic. We start off in the ring with Shane McMahon, talking about the match that's coming up that evening between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And this is obviously part of Kevin's plan to just try and grind these two twits into the dirt. The winner of that contest is going to be going up against AJ Styles for the WWE Championship at SmackDown's next pay-per-view, Fastlane. Shane brings out Daniel Bryan to the ring, which of course gets a huge yay from the crowd because Daniel Bryan can do no damn wrong, according to WWE audiences. Because I understand that Daniel's an amazing wrestler. Hopefully one will get to see wrestle again at some point. And he seems like a really nice person, so there's that. They have a little back and forth about the fact that, Shane feels like Kevin and Sami are like somehow in cahoots with Daniel, or that Daniel's just showing them favoritism, so on and so forth. This little, tete-a-tete gets broken up by the arrival of one AJ Styles, who is just fed up with all the damn drama. I don't really blame him. We see the New Day in the back as they're answering questions and looking at social media. We have a segment between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, where Nakamura says he's going to win the match that he has with AJ at WrestleMania. AJ doesn't seem too terribly concerned. First match of the evening is between Charlotte Flair and Liv Morgan, who is out there with her fellow Riot members, Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan. Obviously, Charlotte is the women's champion at this point. And in a really good match, lots of back and forth, the winner is Charlotte Flair, who has the figure four in on Liv Morgan, and Liv has to tap out. I liked Charlotte's outfit this week. I never noticed that outfit before. I don't know. I mean, it's probably one she's worn before, but I liked it. I thought it looked really good. We get a video for Black History Month again. Obviously, we should watch as many of those as we should, because it's obviously something very important. Because it's obviously something some people haven't got the message about, that everybody really should try and get along and not worry about the color of people's skin, but worry about what's inside their hearts. And that's me on my soapbox. Deal with it. I've got the microphone. We have Renee Young having the unenviable task of trying to wring a decent interview out of Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens acts like a dick. Ta-da! That's a twist right out of an M. Night Shyamalan movie, ain't it? Following that up, we have Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, aka the Bludgeon Brothers, versus two people that I don't think we got the name of, and it really doesn't matter, because they kicked the shit out of them. After the match is done, we have a flip of what happened last week, where the Bludgeon Brothers made their presence known to the Usos. After the match is done, Jimmy and Jay Uso come down to the ring, and they have this long stare down between them and Harper and Rowan, and it's all terribly intense. The Usos come down the aisle. They walk past Harper and Rowan kind of dismissively, and nothing happens other than that. So I was like, okay, so that's set up a whole bunch of what? The Usos in the ring cut a rather long promo, but it was actually pretty good. Mostly just talking about, the way they used to look when they used to have the face paint, and doing, all the things that they used to be doing as opposed to what they're doing now. Which is fine. I mean, either way works, and they seem to be, the fans seem to be receptive to them either way. So, it is what it is. Next up, we have Daniel Bryan in the back showing the list of wrestlers who are on the top 10 list, the SmackDown top 10 list. These were voted on by the wrestlers. Wrestlers were not allowed to vote for themselves. And Shane and Daniel couldn't vote for people either. So the list of people on the SmackDown top 10, going from 10 to 1, Number 10, Ty Dillinger. Number 9, Randy Orton. Number 8, Becky Lynch. Number 7, The Usos. Number 6, The New Day. Number 5, Bobby Roode. Number 4, Naomi. Number 3, Shinsuke Nakamura. Number 2, Charlotte Flair. And number 1, AJ Styles. Interesting list. I thought it was pretty cool. We cut to the New Day in the back, and they're not real happy with those results. Xavier Woods is having a bit of a meltdown, really. So, you know, they're higher than the tag champs. I don't know what their problem is, but, you know, I mean, what are you going to do? It is what it is, as they say. Aiden English comes out and, sorry, no, not yet. Aiden English and Rusev are part of a promo where we see Aiden yammering into the camera, talking about how the ring is covered with canvas, because that is where art is created. Yeah. Okay. That's one way to look at it. Aiden says that his wonderful voice gets inside people's ears. So you're admitting you're an earworm. I don't really think that's a good thing, Aiden, but whatever, you be you. And that Rusev's whole art form is being all big and tough and working out and all this other stuff like that because, he's Rusev, blah, blah. Following that up, when we come back from commercial, we have Rusev going against the U.S. champion, glorious Bobby Roode, who really does have really some of the coolest music. I'm sorry. I really, really like his theme. I don't even know why I like it. I just do. It just does something to me. I think it's a cool theme. I have to, another thing I just gotta say real quick, I don't remember ever seeing that robe on him either. That was it was a good look. I liked it. So the match is a lot of back and forth, but it winds up being a really good match between Roode and Rusev, that Bobby Roode manages to win by pinfall despite the fact that Aiden English is interfering wherever he can. After the match, though, is when things start going completely nuts, because Roode's in the ring, he's, celebrating the fact that he's won, and all of a sudden, there's Randy Orton giving Bobby Roode an RKO, and I'm like, where the fuck did he come from? What the hell? Aiden English tries to get away. Orton gives him an RKO. Orton gives Rusev an RKO. Orton stands on the turnbuckles and does his stupid release the doves pose. I mean, I'm assuming we're going for like that Orton's all pissed off because he was so low on the list or whatever. Or maybe he just finally, the cheese slipped off the crackers and the meds didn't take and he's just completely flipped out. I don't know. Because he looked kind of deranged. And trust me, I know what that look looks like. We get an interview segment. Well, not an interview segment, but a, promo segment in the back with Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable, running down all of the other tag teams and how much better they are than them, and how they are going to be taking on the Ascension and how they're going to beat them and so on and so forth. Checking. Nope, still not caring. Sorry. Which brings us to our, actually, before we go there, I want to bring up something I wanted to bring up a little earlier. I should have. Sign of the night on SmackDown this week was the person that had the sign that said, "It's my birthday." I thought that was nice. So happy birthday to whomever it was that had that sign. I hope you had a nice day. Just trying to be public-minded here on Ring Around the Rosie. Which brings us to match number 4 of the evening. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin versus the Ascension, Connor and Victor. Not a bad match. Nothing to write home about, really. Winners being Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. We get some more stuff going on with the New Day. and talking about, like, their whole thing is that now if they were ranked number 6, which of them would be ranked highest if you were going under individual stuff? Xavier's whole argument that it should be the smartest one of them, which Xavier apparently thinks he's the smartest. Big E says that it should be which one of them is the largest. And then they said it would probably be Kofi. Kofi says he would split his pick with the two of them because Kofi's a good bro like that. Renee talks to Sami Zayn before the match that's going to wrap up the show. Obviously, they've been teasing at the whole idea that this match is going to destroy the friendship between Sami and Kevin, break up the whole Cammy bromance that we've got going, which is really making me nauseous. But, Kevin and Sami are both like, oh, it's not going to, not going to break us up as friends. Everything's going to be fine, so on and so forth. We find out that next week we're going to have a match with Baron Corbin against Dolph Ziggler. Great. I gotta be honest, I'll be happy to see Dolph back. I like Dolph. I don't care. AJ Styles comes down to the commentary table and pulls up a chair next to them and manages to not punch Corey Graves in the face. I don't know how he managed that. AJ should really be nominated for sainthood. Which brings us to match number 5 of the evening. Sami Zayn going against Kevin Owens in a number 1 contender match. Winner will be getting a title shot at Fastlane. So we get their match, which is a lot of back and forth and a lot of... You can tell that both Kevin and Sami are getting angrier and angrier as the match is going on. They're hitting harder, they're kicking harder. They wind up falling out of the ring and they're on the floor and they're fighting in front of AJ. Kevin falls and Sami tries to pick him up. Sami turns around and starts yelling at AJ and he wants AJ to look at him. He's like screaming at him, look at me. Cause AJ's just kind of turned his chair a little bit. Sami grabs AJ. Corey Graves, of course, was shrieking how that Sami grabbed the chair and not AJ, to which I'm like, why the fuck does it matter? And also, shut the fuck up, Corey. And it turns into a big whole Donnybrook and a clusterfuck because AJ gets out of the chair and starts wailing on Sami and Kevin, and it turns into this big mess. It also turns into a no contest, so nobody wins. The match, like I mentioned, is a no contest. Once the match is done, AJ is still swinging away at both Kevin and Sami. Daniel Bryan comes out and says that he is going to make an announcement because of what happened in this match. Due to the fact that both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn performed so well in the match, okay, and the outside interference from AJ Styles, what? Daniel has decided that Kevin and Sami and AJ will be facing each other in a triple threat match at Fastlane. I'm like, interference from AJ Styles. We're going with that? That's the hill we're going to die on? Really? I was like, okay, that's the way you want to play it, Daniel. That's the way you want to play it. You know what you're doing. You're the GM and all that good stuff, so you know what you're doing. Sure you do. So, that's my look at Raw and SmackDown this week. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little shorter show this week. I hope you all don't mind. I hope that if you enjoy my show, if you have any questions or comments or queries or anything you'd like to send my way, please send it to platinumrosel@yahoo.com. Put Ring Around the Rosie in the header, and I'll know you want me to read it on the air. I will read it on the air if you'd like. I hope you will check out the other shows that I am involved with and that I also do with my husband, who is a very sweet, long-suffering individual because he puts up with my craziness. The shows that I do, the other show I do on my own is Platinum Rose's Garden over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com. It is a supernatural podcast about the CW show Supernatural, of which I am a huge fan. I hope you'll check that show out over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com. The shows that TC and I do together include Subject Cinema, which is our movie podcast. We have a lot of fun over there, so I hope you'll check that out. There's also Front Row 5 and 10, which is our list show, and I hope you'll check that out too. It's a lot of fun. TC has his own solo show that he's got a few solo shows that he does, and he's really good at them, so I hope you'll check them out as well. They would include 3 Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex, which are his shows that he does for the week for entertainment news, talking about new releases both at the movie theater, on cable, things coming out to DVD, stuff like that, so you can, plan your week, entertainment-wise, and we hope you'll check that out. He also has Catastrophe Vortex, if you are a fan of disaster movies. He is very knowledgeable about those things, and I hope you will check him out over at Catastrophe Vortex, I should say. And I hope you will check out the other people that are part of our little weird family. Those would include the Lion family over at Cavebabble. They're really great people. And also Comic Grotto with Aunt B and Pee-wee. They're two great guys that have a show about comics, which they're very passionate about, and they're really smart and funny, and I hope you'll check them out. If you like my show, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will be back next week talking some more wrestling with you. I hope everybody out there has a great week. Stay safe. This is Kim Brown, also known as Platinum Rose Lady, signing off for Ring Around the Rosie for this week. See you next week, guys.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.